Hi, this is Steve at blessedhope2018.com or blessedhopeforever.com. Today is September 20, 2018. I've been asked my opinion about the following passage. This is my opinion. Don't ask anybody to agree with me. So I want to begin here by addressing that. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, the first 5 verses. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. First, I want to point out that the believers there at the church at Thessalonica believed that they were in that day, the day of the Lord. So Paul addressed their concern. The text states that a great apostasy, the word is apostasia in the Greek, also translated departure, occurs, and the man of sin is revealed. The "and" is a connector there. So two events are described. Now some take this as a departure from the faith, the apostasy from the faith. Others take it as the actual departure of the church, since the word literally means a departure or a leaving from a previous standing. Now, the phrase day of Christ or day of the Lord, if you have the authorized version, I believe it says day of Christ. It's literally kurios, Lord in the Greek, the day of the Lord. Now this defines a very specific period, beginning with the tribulation period, which will not come until these two occur. Now, personally, I believe it actually confirms the 30-day gap between the rapture and the tribulation, a period in which both of these events occur. Both a massive departure from the faith, or our removal, or both, and the Antichrist being revealed. It could also explain the timing of the appearance of the two witnesses who are said to appear before the day of the Lord comes. Now, before I get to the reason for this video, and I'm a little hyped, I'm a little excited about this. I'm hoping that I haven't scared too many of you off with the 2021 suggestion that this could go on for that long, which I believe it can. But for those of you that are a little, I guess, beside yourself over that, you might want to listen to what I have to say here, because I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back to a closer date, and I think you're going to be interested in what I have to share. So before I get to the reason for this video, which is primarily that, I'd like to say that I do not plan what I'm going to do from one video to the next, or even one study to the next, what I'm going to study, or in what direction the wind is going to blow me in all of this. I don't think or plan ahead of time. I go in the direction that God has laid on my heart. I'm not working alone here. You're not working alone. Not one of us walks alone. And this is where I believe that God has led me at the time of this video. His timing is perfect. I can't predict where I'll be tomorrow. It doesn't work that way for any of us. None of us are on our own here. God is involved, whether you sense his presence or not. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that you're involved in is truth. It doesn't mean everything that we say or believe or share is the truth, but what it does mean is that whatever we are involved in did not come about as a result of chance. And that fact extends to every single aspect of our lives. Now then, why, oh why, has every projected rapture date failed since September 23rd, 2017, and even going back further? Why did David Meade's Planet X not arrive in 2017? Still got his book on my shelf. Why hasn't the Psalm 83 war occurred? Well, some of you may say, well, it looks like it's beginning to. It's fixing to. Why hasn't the third temple been built? Why haven't the two witnesses appeared? As Scripture says that they will before the day of the Lord. I just gave you all my reason for that, the gap. I believe this is because God is obviously, I don't think there's any question at this point, that he's still arranging the pieces on the chessboard, so to speak. The stage is still being set. The actors are being dressed for their roles. Should it surprise us that we Christians would rush to judgment due to eager anticipation? I don't think probably very few of us ever even gave thought to the fact that we would do that. And this, every time we see breaking news on a TV set. Now, I'm not saying that these things are not important or relative. In fact, they reveal that his coming for us is very, very soon. You can't watch the news today and if you're, I believe if you have the Spirit of God, all you got to do is turn on the news and see he's coming. But we should have known that our eagerness would probably get in the way of his patience before that blessed day that we're waiting for arrives. I also think that it's wonderful that God is giving us a lot of options to weigh through many watchmen, through many channels. I'm not trying to build a mega church here, folks. If you're here, it's because God wanted you here. And if you move on, and if you're not, he didn't. And if you move on, it's because he wanted that too. And therefore, I'm good with either or both. I mean, that is all any of us are doing. But my advice to you is that if you are listening to anyone, and I mean anyone, declare with absolute dogmatic certainty that anything is going to occur in the future, war or anything else, as if they possess such knowledge, stop listening to them. But if they're suggesting possibilities, well, this may occur, this is more likely than this, and so on and so forth. I don't see this as detrimental in any way. But I actually see it as a benefit. Folks, many are working honestly and tirelessly to call things as they see it. Many times, regardless of the consequences. Me, I'm known for walking with my face to the wind, not my back. I am always wary of or cautious of popular opinion. Our timelines have always had a high degree of accuracy because the calculator doesn't lie unless the battery on it is low. But that doesn't mean that the rapture date is contained within that timeline. It's just the most likely. I don't believe that there is any disagreement, that we have any disagreement over the fact, or we shouldn't have any disagreement over the fact, that the whole of creation is indeed groaning in travail for the revealing of the sons of God. But I am convinced these are the beginning of birth pangs. We're still in labor, folks. The truth is that it can go past the sign, even a few years, as I've suggested. God works slow. And what we are discussing is not governed by emotions, assumptions, feelings, or appearances, or desire. Like, if we just wish him back hard enough, he'll, kind of like a genie, in a bottle. Those are not the tools of measurement that we are to use. These are the beginning of birth pains, and they can go on a lot longer than you may think. In fact, they can get a whole lot worse. On the other hand, he could return today as well. There are two things that are simply fact. Nobody knows, yet we can hit on the right rapture date because, well, the odds of us doing so are 1 in 365. I'm joking, of course, because to say that, I've just defined our sovereign God as a God of chance. Look, folks, the truth is he can and may allow us to hit on that date. Or not. I don't know what will be the case. But what I do know is that when we get to heaven, it won't any longer matter. So now on to the subject of this video, now that I've talked your ear off, wasted half the morning here. I want to show you a remarkable assortment of facts that pertain to the near future, not as far off as 2021. I scared a lot of you off, I guess. Maybe I'll scare you back here, because we are always looking at possibilities. But first I want to remind you of this one crucial fact about October 11 and why we here at Blessed Hope find no hope in it. October 11, the rapture occurs, and 50 days later, Jesus returns after the Day of Atonement, or that this feast he must fulfill occurred inside the tribulation period. Now, folks, that kills it for us, because this 50 days is not an assumption or a theory. It is biblical fact. Daniel and Revelation. God authored those numbers, and God didn't lie. So based upon that fact, the idea that the date of Feast of Trumpets is a month off, well, to me, does not matter. Because, you know, we've started off on the wrong foot there. The rapture has nothing to do with Israel. Feast of Trumpets has nothing to do with the church. I know many of you don't want to believe that, but that's the fact. There is your three witnesses. I have shown nearly 24 reasons why this is the case for those who are unfamiliar with the doctrine of dispensationalism. Don't let the word scare you. Dispensationalism. We're simply talking about God's distinction between his program for the church and his program for Israel. He resumes his program for Israel once his program for the church is complete. You may want to pause the video and take note of that. I'm putting this up here on the screen for those of you who are interested. What intrigued me was 9/11, not necessarily Feast of Trumpets. Nevertheless, despite the church not being Israel, I've always looked at any significant date as it pertains to a possible rapture date, feast days including Pentecost, Israel's birthday, Tish B'Av, whatever I could see on the calendar. But there is one highly significant date, I mean highly significant date, that, well, guess what? I've never given thought to. Not till now, anyway. And that is the spiritual New Year date itself. Not civil, I'm talking about the spiritual New Year. So this video will attempt to explain our reasons for now doing so. Folks, it all starts with a question. And the question I asked myself was, might the rapture occur at the change of a new spiritual Hebrew New Year? And what I discovered was quite interesting. I spent 12 hours or more sifting through over 800 megabytes of compiled data going back nearly 3 years, just looking at the facts, taking everything into consideration, including the most recent 2021 fiasco. And another question I asked myself was, what carries the most weight in all of this from everything that we've looked at? What is the heaviest? What is really carrying the weight in all this. And my conclusion was, for what it's worth, was our leaving here not before the spiritual New Year 5778 ends in March, nor after 5778 ends, but when it ends, actually ends March 8th. The very day that 5778 ends and the New Year 5779, which, well, to me really doesn't, I don't know how to put it, doesn't strike a nerve. The New Year 5779 begins. You need to know that if we're still here after October 2, we cross a threshold. Because an October 3 rapture would see Jesus return after Rosh Hashanah. That's not likely, in my opinion. He would miss fulfilling Feast of Trumpets when he returned. With an October 11 rapture, he would return after Atonement. Zero possibility, in my opinion, folks, given the required 50 days. So, and it is not hard to count 50 days. So let's take a look at the end of 5778, which I've always believed had an enormous amount of significance, as have many others. I absolutely believe that this can go to 2021, even if Israel was being invaded right now by its border enemies, Psalm 83 war, where she defeats them, and her borders are expanded, because they will be, and they, Israel, say peace and safety, no walls, no gates, whereupon destruction cometh upon them suddenly like a woman in travail. Time flies. I mean, y'all know that. 2015 seems like yesterday. So let's now suppose, now that we've gotten past the 2021, phenomenon, let's now suppose that the Torah calendar, 3980 BC to 2021 equals 6,000 years, is just wrong. Let's suppose it's wrong. Most of you should like this idea. I know I do. So here are the facts. 5778 carries a lot of weight. It always has. Therefore, the 50 days would run like this. Spiritual New Year 5778 ends in March 2019, where it goes to Israel, being still 77 when Jesus returns. 77. It turned, we know it, Israel turned 70 in 1948. Keep in mind, Rosh Hashanah in the Hebrew literally means the head of the year. That's the Jewish civil New Year, usually Tishri 1, month 7, day 1. But I'm talking about the ecclesiastical spiritual New Year, month 1, day 1 on the Hebrew calendar, which is always in March, I believe. Maybe it's sometimes in April. I don't know. But it's in the early spring. 5778 ends March 8, or 8 and 9, 2019, beginning 5779. So let's suppose that let's just suppose that God intended that 5778 run its course, that it play out. All right, let's do that. 50 days forward from March 8, March 9, 2019. 50 days forward is March 1, 2026. March 1, 2026. That's month 12, day 12. Now, 12 equals governmental authority, but let's don't focus too much on numerology here. But Jesus would return in the Hebrew year 5785, while Israel is still 77. So rebirth, Israel, Israel's reborn, and then 2018 into 2019, it's 70, still 70. So it goes from 70 to 77. Do you follow what I'm saying? So that return date is followed by, or could coincide with, a total solar eclipse. Now that caught my attention, and is 20 days before the spiritual New Year 5786. 20 days before the spiritual New Year changes to 5786. March 21 marks the Hebrew year 5786. Yet a March 1 return date would see him return when Israel is 77, and in the Hebrew year 5785. 1335 days from the midpoint to the kingdom, May 14, 2026. Now that got my attention as well. Israel is then 78 at that point when the kingdom begins. Kingdom, May 14, 2026 is month 2, day 27. Month 2, day 27. Blessed are they who make it to the end of the 1335 days. It's talking about the kingdom. Month 2, day 27. That rang a bell. The month and day got my attention because, and in the second month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried. Genesis 8:14. In other words, the kingdom would begin the day the earth was dried, which, well, to me, symbolizes or suggests judgment is complete. I'll be exploring this further as time marches on. In the meantime, remember that the Revelation 12 sign occurred in 5777. Three sevens. The spiritual New Year was not until March 18 of this year, 2018. So Jesus would therefore return when Israel was still 77, the church being raptured on the day 5778 was complete, confirming the great number of things that pointed to the significance of 5778 being the year in which we would see our Lord. This could very well be the most valuable information that I've posted to date. Only time will tell. Look, I love you all. I truly do. Stay focused. Stand firm in God's love and grace for you. Until next time, I love you all. I truly do. Thanks for watching.